have a quorum, but you can still have an informal meeting.
Thank you. Us diehards are here. I'd like to invite everyone to sit at the table.
Yeah, so I'm gonna sit in my seat.
No, you're staying there.
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna go finish my.
It's not an edict, you don't have to, but you're invited to.
Yeah, you're welcome to. Everybody's welcome to sit at the table.
And it will be noticed if you don't.
This isn't Russia, for
I
God's
keep
sake.
my distance.
I understand, yeah, well, you should. You're in a
Okay,
position of importance now.
So just one general rule is if we can just have one person speaking at a time. I'm sitting in for Cindy, and there are no resolutions today. Do you have a report, Steve?
Yes, and it's a brief one.
Okay.
I did not make copies, so I thought usually they were copied and handed out, but you can pass that around. Look, so briefly, in terms of energy management for the county facilities, we did meet with NIPA, and then a week or so ago.
What is NIPA?
NIPA is the New York Power Authority. It is a power authority, and it is interested in reviewing this building for energy conservation issues, and keeping with the desires of DPW to look at some real specific issues. NIPA and Robbie, their representative, Robbie Shankar, is going to be speaking with the Public Works Committee on November 14th at 10:15. And we're looking at a plan to, or hopefully they can develop a plan to sustainably retrofit the HVAC system in this building.
So they're doing like a consulting job? Is that how
They are going to be, on the 14th, Robbie Shankar is going to give the Public Works Committee an overview of what NIPA's programs are, what they consist of, how they are funded, how the county would pay for the work that is done
It has to go back
through
to
them.
him after you look at it.
And the meeting that Ed McAndrew, Carol, myself, and Kristen Porter had with Robbie initially was we decided to focus on HVAC on this building because it is in the capital budget, the capital plan for this year through 2015. So, and it does need attention. So a week or so ago, Ed, Carol, myself, Grant, and Josh met and developed a list of questions for NIPA to consider as they address the DPW committee, or the Public Works Committee. The other item, the lighting retrofit for the government center, we had sent off previous data to Windwater, which is an LED design supply company. Our conversation with them earlier this week was they were still working on putting together a preliminary study of what a lighting retrofit of this building would look like utilizing LEDs for both indoor and outdoor, and they are sticking tightly to our request not to make this a generic study, but just because if the county ever decided to do that, that would automatically disqualify them according to the procurement rules, as I understand it.
They're working on a preliminary study, but this means that is this also part of the capital plan or not?
No, this is.
No, they approached us separately, and Steve talked to them. I talked to him briefly on the phone.
The county has had 3 or 4 lighting audits done on this building, and all of those technologies looked at replacing fluorescents, T12s with T8s, and address some issues, but they don't give quite the cost an energy benefit and savings as LED.
And this technology is changing pretty rapidly at this point, with LEDs coming up in the past few years,
Yes.
quite a bit.
I guess the question I have is, when you have a company that approaches you, because this comes up in so many different scenarios, then the procurement, I mean, if they're working on a preliminary study, it will enable any other company to come in and bid?
We'd
It's
have
a
to get to
question.
that, we're not to that point yet at all. They've just approached us, hey, a lot of, like you said, a lot of firms will come, oh, we can do this for you, or we can do that for you, and if you're in a private company, you could just hire them directly with us. We have to look at it and explain to them, ours is a whole bidding process. If
Right.
you can give us some idea of cost savings of LED versus incandescent or fluorescent, and if we decide that it's something worth doing, then we would do an RFP or an RFQ, depending on which was more appropriate for the type of work, and proceed from there. So that's where this is. They're a preliminary.
Right.
and
So
they're working with
far,
Steve.
none of the costs have been worth pursuing up until this one. We don't know whether this will be worth pursuing or not. It's off of their
Correct. We
back, that their, whatever costs are accrued in doing an assessment is
Oh,
picked
yeah,
up by
we're not hiring
them.
them in any way.
No.
They're,
Yeah.
they're
No, this
completely
is,
on their
complete-
dime at this
Yes,
point.
it's their dime, and, it's at an absolute no commitment, from the county to proceed with them. As Ed said, it's a step to, help inform the, legislature and the Public Works Committee of what possibilities there are, on the market for bringing our buildings to a more sustainable platform that will save energy over the lifespan of the product.
I don't see any date on this. When are they supposed to be done?
There is no timeline.
They're not formal at this point,
Right.
let's put it that way.
Right.
There's no dedication.
Right.
They've just called us within, what, a week at this point to approach us with this. They're trying to sell their product right now.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
Yeah,
we're
my
not-
understanding with the LEDs is not only is there savings with the cost of energy or the use of energy, but also with operation and maintenance long-term, because bulbs tend to
Yes.
last longer, less replacement needs,
Right.
and all of
Correct.
that. So I think it's worth exploring. Do we have any idea what in terms of the electric bill for this building, how that breaks down, how much is lighting versus, I'm sure we're running the blowers right now, so I'm sure those are.
Well, there's been a number of studies on it. Wendell did, you know.
Yeah, we can,
look at
we,
it,
yeah,
so
we have that
pull a
in
lot of that.
previous, studies and can.
Yeah.
can
Okay,
get
so
that.
it'd be interesting to look at those numbers again.
Electric's fairly high.
Yes.
It's a
Yeah.
significant cost.
Yep, yep, our meter spins pretty quickly.
Yes, we can actually look at that.
Well, maybe, we can just note it for the agenda for next month, whatever progress is made.
Absolutely. And the third item under energy management is county jail. Cindy had asked if the Office of Sustainable Energy had been involved in any of the discussions about the county correctional facility.
This is the
and
proposed facility.
the proposed facility.
Thank you.
And we, you know.
That's Labella.
We hadn't.
We're smelling.
So-
Yeah, when we
Sorry.
started, I don't think we were even.
No,
in
it
exi-
didn't.
in extent.
No,
So remember, this isn't an official meeting, I can say what I want.
What
So,
makes that different?
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, we told Cindy that we would do some research, and so far I found passing this around, one correctional facility that is up and running in New York State, in Canton, New York. And this is a little blurb from the NYSERDA website. But there are significant opportunities to save costs in construction and planning based on the NYSERDA new construction facilities. We certainly want to have the branch department
You want one of those?
look at those, because some of it would require filing the consolidated funding applications. And there's also a lot of anecdotal and, not just anecdotal, but documented information about the reduction of overall cost, and then also maintenance, so that what is perceived to be a 1 to maybe 5% increase in the initial cost of construction, that is over the lifetime of the building, that is that often comes up to a 30 or 40% savings in overall energy operation and maintenance costs. Not to mention the possible very positive effects of increased correctional officer safety and actually increased compliance and behavior among the inmates. LEED certified schools and factories show a much lower incidence of sick day payouts and much greater participation among the students and the teachers, and in factories increased production. And there's no reason to believe that those positive benefits wouldn't transfer to a population of inmates and correction officers, because the part of the premise is your building is designed to actually enhance the indoor environment, so there's better lighting, there's better sound control, there's better airflow, and all of that.
Steve, the inmates can't take sick days.
That's true, they can't.
Yes, they can.
They can take sick report, but not sick days.
Well, and they move them to a sick bay.
Yeah.
So one of the things
Yeah,
that I
good
think
point.
I want to just get clarity on,
Mhm.
the New York Energy Smart New Construction Program, that means that you can actually apply for funding through that? Would we be able to apply for funding through that for the jail?
We should be able to. It depends on the Energy Smart amenities and design that is built into the jail. And part of what NYSERDA will do under their existing or their new construction program is provide technical assistance to kind of shepherd the process along to make sure that what design features are built will actually qualify for their incentives.
I mean,
If we
incentive.
were, as far as energy efficiency, we were looking at geothermal. I know there was discussion on TV. There was to be a second floor to house all the, instead of having rooftop units outside, and to bring stuff in to better control along those lines. I don't know if all the lighting that you're talking about was, fully designed out yet anyway, so I think at this point, we could still go down some of that, but,
Cora, if I recall right, the original, very first cut didn't have rooftop units. They were separate, so that you could have done something on the roof. Then they moved them out.
Yeah,
The rooftop because
to
of
save.
construction money. So they can do it back and forth. The move to put them back up on the roof instead of in a separate building was a construction saving.
Yeah, it was the second floor, actually an enclosed second floor, where we would have housed all the HVAC systems and that. When you can put them inside, as opposed to on the roof like this, they get better maintenance, they're not in the weather, it's
Yep.
much easier to service them, and when it's easier to service them, they usually get serviced better than when you have to go out.
Have a
the
longer
roof in
life
January.
expectancy.
Yep,
Yeah,
absolutely.
so they're, but it's more expensive to enclose them, so they were back on the rooftop. There was a lot of sacrifices made in going back and forth on the jail costs at this point.
The old penny wise, pound foolish. Do you spend now to save later? Well,
I think part of the issue also is that this is
Exactly.
a retrofit, right? According to this,
St. Lawrence County?
they had a major renovation and addition, so that's, the thing that's, I think is, important to keep a close tab on is, where are we actually, at what stage are we really with the jail project?
we're not.
And at what point this is where you want it to kick in?
Well, in order to get the best bang for the buck with the LEED process and to really have that energy efficiency afforded to the county, and the payback being definitely better operating costs and maintenance costs and lower energy consumption, LEED really needs to be a part of the design, not an add-on. Because when you start adding on, then you start having to do redesigns, and redesigns, architects and engineers don't like to redesign their work for nothing, so you're going to have increased costs.
I know a lot of the HVAC was looked at in 2 and 3 different scenarios in order for efficiency and then for cost, and comparing and trading off. So we do have high efficiency looks, so obviously with a somewhat higher startup cost.
Yes.
We're
When
gonna
were
have
those
engineering
plans,
study.
what was the last date of those plans?
When was the value engineering study done?
Yeah, it was back in,
When was it back in?
about when it ended. 3 years ago?
It's 3 or 4 years.
3 or 4
Yeah.
years now.
Yeah.
Yes. But that's been on hold.
And this, by no
I don't
means
even
is
know LEED was
a
around then.
criticism
I don't think they were.
of any county work that's been done. It's just a
No.
response to a question by.
Well, I think
by
part
the
of the
chairman.
issue also is that, the return on investment at one point was much longer because the costs of photovoltaics and the new kinds of technology, putting film on windows and all that kind of stuff, has reduced the cost. So your return on investment is, instead of it being 20 years, maybe 10 or less now, so. I mean, if that really holds, sorry, Sam, I didn't hear what you said.
Nothing.
You were muttering?
Yes.
Okay. So, I
Maybe
think
at the G.
it would be helpful to get some sort of sense of what we were buying for what the plans were at that time.
Yeah, like it was.
It almost sounds
We've been
elementary,
looking at
but-
efficiency, not in this, definitely not in this. The LED may be different now. I mean, there may be things certainly worth revisiting as you go along, and whatever path we take with the jail at this point.
Yeah.
I'd be curious to
It'd be
know
nice
what
if
it
we-
cost them to build this jail up in St. Lawrence County.
Yeah, all they have were the savings on the back
186 beds.
page.
Well-
It's conveniently missing.
Just as a benchmark.
As an 186, and it would be nice if you could get technical assistance would be, that would be real nice to have if we could
Right.
get any kind of funding for this, if we match LEED and we get funding for it, would be.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And there are nice sort of benefits to help move, in that direction.
Well, $825,000 is nothing to sniff at.
So the other thing just the other piece of that, was that Carol and I went back to the resolution for 2907, which actually introduces, it was a masterful resolution. And it was adopted on September 27th, 2007, which does state that to promote energy efficiency and resource conservation by requiring future county building or facilities to meet LEED certification standards or equivalent sustainable principles, practices, and technologies.
Where are you reading?
That's back page. That's the first
Number one?
number one of the resolution of the resolves. But it was an incredible piece of work that the legislature put out there. But anyway, we are willing to continue working with that if it's the legislature's.
Well, we have a visit to a jail in Delaware on Tuesday. Not any, flooding notwithstanding. It's open to anybody who wants to
Are you
come.
expecting flooding?
No, our last
Internal
trip was,
building flooding.
was canceled, so.
Oh, okay.
So it's open to press and, you know, Steve, I don't know how your meter runs on the OSE clock, but it would probably be worth seeing that facility just to get a sense of.
That's about 15 years old. And I don't know the age of development out there. It's way before we need it.
Yeah.
So is our plan.
Yes. I'll talk with you afterwards about the details of that.
Okay.
So then moving on, the climate action plan, we're developing the interdepartmental team to develop shovel-ready, for, you know, lack of a other analogy, but grant-ready projects that meet the priorities of DPW and maximize energy efficiency, renewable energy. The legislature did approve the additional day per week, and we thank them for that. So our tentative goals are mid-November 2013, the first draft of the county goals and measures section for the climate action plan, and December 31st, the revised draft incorporating feedback from DPW planning and other participating departments. And the rest is just anecdotal stuff. Is there something else? Friday, tomorrow, Carol and I have our first meeting with Jill to begin outlining our work plan and moving forward with the climate action plan.
Well, I did give Scott kind of a tentative, and I think you might have seen it too, Alan, sort of tentative CFA calendar for 2013, 2014, like what we want to do by end of October, November, December, January, February, March, so that we don't, aren't looking at potential projects the day before the deadline.
Absolutely, it's critically important to have those in the pipeline and identified months in advance. This way we're not dropping everything at the last minute to try to get applications in. So I think it's a really good product. So I'll go through it in a little more detail, and hopefully we can add to it and get a consensus that these are the projects that we should be going after through the Consolidated Funding Act.
And I think one of the biggest criteria for that is Ed's capital budget.
Yes.
The more that it takes the burden off the county taxpayer to fund through a bond, the higher it goes up on the list of priorities in terms of all the time that's spent going after grants and complying with the regulations and everything. So if it doesn't really match that kind of criteria, then it's going to go farther down the priority list.
Hopefully this hypo one that we're looking at, there's one there.
Yep.
And there's sort of that clause like, but for this funding, would we be doing this anyway or not? And that's a question like, how many projects are we going to be doing that are 100% county funded? And that if we're already have projects lined up like that, can we get any relief from the, well, I can't say the feds now.
Not today, maybe tomorrow.
We'll see if they decide to open the government back up.
Well, it might be better off if they don't.
So I don't mean to do, Jill, if you don't mind, I'm just, since we're on the DPW stuff, I'm just gonna move number 3 to number 2 and then let you do the ag report, because then that'll go into the ag planner position. Just kind of just keeping focused on the buildings right now. So do you have anything you want to add on this number 3 update, Ed?
DPW
You wanna have a
update.
look? Not to put you
Here,
Well, I
on the
think
spot.
we're pretty well covered. I think what we've been going through right now is pretty much where we're at, the NIPA and
Sorry.
right now, the,
Okay.
name of the company with the LED lighting.
Winmar.
What's the other one? Winmar, yeah.
Winmar.
Actually just got their literature today.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so it's too soon to really say.
Yeah.
Okay, so is there any more clarity on SASD and OSE? Because I just want to get really clear there was a lot of structural
Can you
questions.
clarify that question?
Yeah, the Office of Sustainable Energy, which is Heather, and the SASD, which are paid consultants, and how that is going forward. Has that been discussed amongst the staff?
It's been discussed.
Have there been any
But I think that
conclusions?
there's a lot of movement kind of going on with various things with county government in general right now, and I think that it was mentioned about bringing different aspects into those conversations, you know, I mean, there's movement in planning, there's, you know, figuring out what's going on there, you know, I mean, it's, you know, so it's kind of part of a broader conversation on county structure, you know, in more than just one location. I think that the only thing that we were sure of is that, you know, after, you know, all the, everything that's gone on the last couple of years around county government, you know, they need to have, you know, a specific home and somewhere to belong, and, you know, it's, you know, so it's been discussed, but I mean, it's part of a larger conversation, I
So
think, at this
nothing's,
point.
there's no, like,
There's been no
recommendation?
resolution.
There's been no resolution, no,
Uh-huh.
but it's just, like I said, it's part of a larger conversation, so.
So is there progress? Is that the best way of putting it?
I-
Are we in some sort
It's
of?
the opposite of Congress.
Thank you, Jean.
We're not in a
Sorry.
formal meeting.
I know, sorry.
No, that's all
I
right.
couldn't
I'm
help
just trying to get a sense
It was a
of,
perfect opening.
with the budget deadline coming up,
Mhm.
you know, we're gonna be looking to you guys to give us recommendations to say, if we go down this path, this is what it'll look like. If we go down this path, this is what it'll look like.
I mean, I can have a conversation
Mhm.
with Josh and legislators, but, you know, no, there's no resolution at this
No,
point, I
there's
guess is the short
been no
answer.
formalized resolution. There's been a lot of
Not
discussion.
a,
There's
not
been
a
a lot of
resolution
discussion,
where
but no
we, where
resolution.
legislators raise their hands, not a legislative resolution. You're talking about resolution amongst yourselves.
A resolution of the problem.
A resolution
require
of the
a
problem.
It
Would
would
require
require a
it.
resolution because it's a change to the administrative code.
Right.
Yes.
So,
Yes,
therefore, there would be a resolution at some
Yeah.
point.
correct.
Right.
Well,
So-
I think we should wait on that until we get all the kinks worked out.
Well, also, this is not an official meeting, we don't have a quorum, I was just asking, you know, where are we in this process? All right, so
In
now,
progress.
okay, in progress. Agricultural report.
So I just handed mine out,
Yep.
so if anybody has any questions, but basically, the presentation that's going on, I'm just gonna talk about that in the update, because we don't really have a presentation. That is the shared position between Cornell. We're actually meeting after this meeting to discuss, working that agreement out and how that whole process will work. Not to speak for Greg, but they have advertised their position at Cornell, with applications due by the end of this month. And I have notified all the people who applied for the ag planner position to therefore apply through Cornell if they are interested. I've also let them know we have the planner position open, so that if they are interested in that, there are the 2 openings available.
How many applications have we gotten?
We got 15 for the ag planner that then I think we
I think
winnowed
we
it
have-
down to
Yeah, I
like,
think we have around between 6 to 10 right now, so.
Well, I'm glad you got that many applications.
Yeah,
It
but
gives you a better
typically
pool.
since it's posted the 31st, they're gonna come in more towards the end of that
Right.
period, so we're hoping to open.
and I've already gotten 2 for just the general planner, as well as some people who said they are actually more interested in the planner position than the ag planner, the
Yeah.
ones that weren't very ag related. So it looks like we'll have some good,
I hope we have
people
some
to
good-
pick from.
Yeah, that's the key.
So my understanding, just so that I'm clear, sorry, is that the benefits are paid through the county and the salary is paid through?
No.
No?
No.
How does it work?
We passed a resolution to pay for $25,000 or up to $25,000
Right.
to Cornell, and they will handle it. It'll be a full-time
Okay.
position at
And the
Cornell.
benefits come through Cornell.
Yep.
I remember that discussion.
And then we reimburse them, for that. And it'll
Okay.
be a 6-month trial basis,
Right.
which we have to go over how this agreement would work out.
And that goes in the MOA?
Yep.
Thank you.
And then one other thing is, or a couple things, is that, a couple deadlines that are coming up is the Northeast Sustainable Agricultural Research and Education, which is a SARE grant, which funded several projects in the county before. Their partnership and farmer grants are coming up, and are due in November and December. So we've let people know in the ag community about that. And also there is a good conference coming up about harvesting opportunities in New York, held by the American Farmland Trust, which will go over ways of expanding markets and doing some other branding and getting more local food into the thing. So hopefully some people from the county will go to that.
$90.
Yes. And then also grant funding, because everybody wants to know, small business grants and loans are still available for anybody affected by Hurricane Irene, Lee, and Superstorm Sandy. So businesses who were affected are eligible for grant funds, and so anybody who knows of any businesses should let them know. It seems to be a pretty easy process if there is anybody who is affected. So.
And when is the deadline on that?
It's a rolling deadline, so they've exhausted the funds, and they are working with the Small Business Development Centers, who is up in Kingston, but they do come down to the partnership. So they will, be of assistance if needed, as well as ESDC, who kind of is reaching out to let us know and make sure we take advantage of this opportunity.
Is there a little press release you can write up for that?
I do have a handout.
Okay.
So you're welcome to have that. I asked them if they were planning to do a press release, and I guess it's still pretty new, but they are working on it. But it'll replace equipment, it'll replace inventory, it'll renovate facilities, it'll pay for lost working capital. So it's a pretty open
I thought
grant.
we all got emails on that.
Yeah, I forwarded it to
Yeah,
everybody.
okay.
You need a copy?
No, I think we got something about it
Yeah.
already. I thought this was, not you guys, but
Yeah.
the small business people.
Other than that, any questions? Thanks.
Keep up the good work. Thanks for relaying the message to Heather, the other Heather.
Like, I didn't get it.
No, different Heather. I need some information from my Fish and Wildlife Board. Yeah.
The report has no sunset, right? It's still fully operational?
Right now, it's in limbo. It's fully operational as far as that there is no active farm bill. But technically, if the farm bill passes and they re-up it, then it will become active again. So right now, we are, holding status quo, because we're not sure if we should be investing as much time in it as possible until we know. But it looks like, Gibson has asked for, Congressman Gibson has asked for a lot of information on it, and it has really helped our county get some needed funds. So hopefully it will continue and we'll get some, because that would be a good board to.
I think he's on the Agricultural Committee.
I think so.
Do you want to chime in, Greg, on the CCE Ag Planner position?
I think Jill covered it.
Yeah, pretty
I
much.
mean, we're meeting afterwards, and Jill and I have been working quite a bit together. I mean, the goal of this position is to connect us all more, and even on a lot of these items, there's quite a bit of crossover, so it's just great to, that's why I came today. We're just continue to be committed to connecting all these different dots, so we're pretty focused on what needs to be done.
Well, one of the things.
The red meat facility, just so you know, I'm on that advisory board to help select the operator, and we're having probably our fourth meeting next Tuesday, the 8th, at 2:30.
Okay.
So we're still progressing, and I'm happy that Cornell's at the table on that. So,
Did Ira announce there was some sort of ribbon cutting? I don't know what it's for.
Yeah, he announced that earlier,
groundbreaking.
at one of the earlier meetings.
yeah.
What's the ribbon cutting for exactly?
It's a groundbreaking for the red meat processing facility. I think it's on the 10th at 4. Is
Yeah.
that what it was?
Can I just, I don't know if I've made this request in a formal way with the resolution, but it would be helpful to know what the deliverable is gonna be for the 25,000. Yes, we get X amount of time for an ag planner, but what is the,
Sure.
you
Yeah.
Well, that
result
will,
of that?
I think that's key too, because that's kind of what will help to track. I mean, the
Right.
resolution was written with a 6-month evaluation, and if we don't have deliverables or some sort of method for evaluation, then
Well,
we
I
will
I
think
mean, the
that's the-
beauty is we're doing it together, so you'll be supervising
Right.
the person too.
Well,
So we're all in
that-
it together
that-
to have Cornell wants deliverables and you do, and but in the job description, we have what they're supposed to do. Now we gotta make them do it. And Jill will be, or whoever's gonna be managing them just as much as me, so let's have at it. You know, that's what, to me, the excitement is can we have deliverables instead of just talking about it? So I'll be happy to do that. It relates to the job description we've already circulated and actually put some tangible goals in there.
And the food production initiatives, do we need to say more about that hasn't been said
Yeah,
already?
well, Cindy had asked if the IDA was available, and both Jens were unavailable to come today. But they did talk. Right, the Jens and the Heathers. They did talk about it today in community and economic
Yep.
development, that the CFA was submitted. They're, awaiting status of the priority project and whether they received funding through the CFA, but they did get RBOG and RBEG funding.
So what are they doing with the 2 grants that they got from USDA?
They are kind of holding them and waiting to see if they get this other one. I believe the RBOG one can kind of move forward because it's more of a training and some outreach that, they can go after identifying the producers and people who would use it. But I think they will all kind of work together depending on whether this other CFA funding comes in.
And was there clarity on it being a shovel-ready site or not? Because the definition of shovel-ready depends on who you're asking.
Well, I guess they're talking about a potential site. That's what they put into the CFA, and so whether they get funding from that would go towards whatever building they are choosing.
Okay, so let me rephrase the question. Is the site that they're looking at shovel-ready or not?
I don't know the site.
I don't know either.
Okay. Moving right along. Resolutions, none. I think we've gotten everything that we had on the agenda. We're gonna get more clarity on OSE and SASD. And we're gonna get more clarity on the jail. And we're gonna get more clarity on the ag planner position. And fortunately, this was not an official meeting. Thank you all so much for
You can
coming.
still ask for public comment if you want.
Oh, absolutely.
Unofficial public comment.
Because I want to ask you a question. It's unofficial.